Hello, beautiful soul. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in to this video. This is just a quick demo on the technique that we'll be using tomorrow during your breathwork session. And I love having this space in the beginning before we even get started. So you come into session clear, ready, prepared, ask a few questions. I'll do like a quick run through before we begin, just in case someone hasn't had the chance to check this video out. But I love that you're taking that extra time and extra care to set yourself up for success, to be sure that you can really arrive to the space ready, prepared for the deep awakening process that embodiment breathwork brings. I love this practice. It is by far my favorite. I practiced yoga for years. As you can see, I'm on my yoga mat. Yoga is still an integral part of my life, and it's a foundation in my movement practice. You'll find that breathwork is different. In comparison, yoga is more of like a masculine energy, even the most flowiest of yoga practices. Due to the discipline and the alignment focus that yoga brings, breathwork is more feminine energy. It is allowing, receiving deep energy of flow. And it is also a unique experience every time you practice. Both are yoga and breathwork, but you'll find this to be very different. So before we go over the technique, I just want to prepare you so you're fully ready to show up tomorrow and you know how you need to show up and what you need and what you don't need to do before you come to session and what's really supportive after. So it's advised to not eat 60 to 90 minutes or so before you practice. Doing this type of breath work after you've eaten, it's not good. It may feel like regurgitative. So we don't want to do that. So please come on a digested or somewhat empty stomach. Have water nearby and a soothing hot tea or cacao, or not coffee, but something warm if that feels nourishing to you. It's not required, but definitely advise water. Also, I advise a journal. Usually breath work opens up your vessel. It's an open channel and you're able to receive messages, divine drop-ins, I like to call them. And so prepare for that tomorrow. Have a journal handy, have your crystals, have your tarot or your oracle deck cards, have all of your beautiful belongings that you use for ritual and your spiritual practice, your drop-ins, how you connect to yourself deeply and receive information, because you will be open. You will be open after this practice, spiritually, energetically, physically, mentally, emotionally. It is a deep clearing process. And so I want you to feel like you've got all of your things nearby that you need. You've got water because your throat is dry from the breathing. You've got your crystals that you can hold and meditate with after. You've got your journal. You've got your tea with honey, like all the things that you need. Another thing you'll see that my meditation cushion is behind me, but I'm not going to practice on that. You need to be flat, on a flat surface, not on your bed, not on your couch, not propped up with pillows. I want you to be flat on the floor. If you want to roll out a yoga mat, that's all I have. I have a yoga mat and a blanket, and that is it. If you don't have a yoga mat, if you want to just like lay down a few blankets that are thicker, if you've got that on your floor, or you could just do it on the floor. You don't need a mat, you don't need a blanket. You may want to wear socks. I like to wear socks because my feet get cold, and I like my blanket for after practice. And sometimes if I'm cold or just feeling really clammed up in the beginning, I'll start with a blanket, maybe like waist down, just like covering my legs. But breath work will heat your body up, and so you'll shed that blanket very soon into practice, but then you might want it at the end. You might want to like curl up, because I like to offer you at least 5, most of the times around 7 minutes of a breathwork shavasana, I like to call it, which is where you'll just rest. You'll just lie, you may roll over on your side, and you'll just like cozy up with a blanket, maybe if that feels nourishing to you, and just let it resonate on a cellular level, all of what you just did. So breathwork is a somatic practice, somatic soma, meaning of the body. I use the term somatic and embodiment interchangeably. So this is an embodiment. This is a somatic practice. We are using the body to move energy and create our bodies as an open vessel, an open channel. On a more scientific, biological level or understanding, breathwork, this type of holotropic style breathwork, it moves stuck energy in the body and it helps to re-regulate the nervous system. So our body holds energy. And our body communicates to us through sensations. What happens is those sensations create emotions, and then emotions create thoughts. And that's typically where most of society lives, in the conscious mind, in the ego, in the thoughts. We live up here. A lot of us can be scared to drop into emotions. Most of us are not connected to the unconscious space. So I want to frame it in that way. A somatic practice, this type of practice, embodiment practice, drops you into the unconscious space. It drops you into the body itself. The body is the unconscious. So I want to say that again. The body is the first communicator. It is the first line of communication, anytime, all the time. And it communicates via a sensation. That's it. Just a sensation, a flutter in your belly, a tingling in your spine, a vibration in your legs, a closure in your throat. And how we subconsciously respond to that sensation is the subconscious mind will create an emotion. There's an emotional response that happens to the sensation. Then the conscious mind comes in and creates a thought around that emotion. So you might be feeling tight in your throat, you might be feeling a pit in your belly, and all of a sudden there's an emotion and a thought immediately that connects to it. You're triggered, you're fearful, you're doubtful, you're scared, you're happy, you have anxiety, you feel joy. All of those are thoughts that are from an emotion that came from a sensation, you see? So in this practice, we're dropping into the unconscious. We're dropping into the body and we're moving those sensations. We're connecting to the sensations. We're moving any stuck, held energy that's in the body, and we're re-regulating. We're regulating the nervous system. So how you feel after is dependent on how you arrive. You may feel exhausted. You may feel energized. You may feel really activated and very emotional. You may feel wild and free. It just all depends on you. And every practice is different. Every session you'll complete, in my experience, I feel differently than the last. So I want you just to really gather, be an observer. Be an observer of how you're showing up for this practice today. And just be in the curiosity of how you will leave once you're complete. Don't show up with expectations. I'm feeling anxious. I want to leave feeling joyful and connected to freedom. It's best to not come into a practice like this with an expectation, because that's built in the mind. It's construct and it can get in the way. So you're going to hear me say, drop out of the mind, get into the body, feel the sensation. Drop out of the emotion, get into the body, feel the sensation. What is there to be felt here? And there will be pictures, there will be images, there will be colors, you'll hear words of things, you'll see things, like all of that's going to come through during the experience because you're moving it. You're moving it on an energetic level. And I'm here to coach you. I'm here to keep you present and in the experience of this somatic practice. It is powerful, I promise. If it's your first time doing it, it may feel really crazy, really wild, a little foreign. That is okay. Usually by what I see and what I had for my own experience was by my third or fourth session, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can hang. I got it now. I know what to expect. And Yeah, just be with yourself. The other thing I'll say is tetany might happen. So tetany is when your toes and fingers lock up like little claws. So you're going to do this flat, lying on your back to start. It's important that we're not propped up with pillows because we want a flat, completely open airway. When you prop up a pillow underneath your neck or you've got one underneath your legs, you're changing the airway in the body. And so we want it to be completely flat. That way you're going to get the most from this expansion and contraction with the breath. So tetany it's normal, it happens. And if it does happen, great, because that means energy is moving in your body. And so what it looks like is, or what it feels like is, your hands become like little T-Rex fingers and they become like little claws. And you might be aware of it and you're like, I can't open my hand. It just keeps going. Stay in the breath, stay in the breath. The tetany will pass. It feels a little uncomfortable. It feels kind of bizarre, like what's happening in my body. Energy is moving. That's what's happening. And it happens in the feet as well, but it's most noticeable when it happens in your hands, because obviously our fingers are way more than our toes. So tetany might occur. I think that's everything to prep you. Empty stomach, tetany might happen, lying flat, having your space really set up sacred, having your journal, your sage, your crystals, all of that, having water handy. I'll run through all of this again and give you like 2 minutes to just run and get last minutes if you need it. Make sure your bladder is empty as well. Show up with an empty bladder. The practice itself is from start to finish about 30 minutes, but then that last 5-7 minutes or so, you're in rest. So the actual breathing part is about 20, 22, 23 minutes worth of active breath work. Notice I said breath work, not breath rest or breath play. It's actually work. And so this brings me into the technique itself. And so I'm going to kind of go on my knees here. Although you'll be doing this lying flat, I want to show you like the silhouette of what it looks like. I'm going to lift up my tank top so you can really see my belly here. So in this breath, you are breathing into your belly. You're breathing all the way into the belly. And so what it's going to look like is inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth or the nose. If you want to exhale, I find that a little constrictive. So I like to inhale through my nose, exhale through my mouth. That's a one and one, like that. And then there's also a 2-part inhale, full exhale. But I'm turning this way because I want you to see my body. So you're going to inhale all the way to a big belly balloon and then a full exhale out through the mouth. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So the breath is moving from the lungs down into the belly. And it's a big, full, like unsightly, big belly balloon breath. It's, you know, we as women especially have been so suppressed historically that our ancestors wore corsets, for goodness sakes. And so this is really like breaking through all those suppressed barriers and boundaries of our tight clothes and our bras with wires and all of the boundaries that have been placed on our physical body with how we dress. So I want you to really like let loose and be as big and open and take up as much space as you possibly can during this practice. So you're inhaling through the nose, down into the belly, and exhaling out. There is a pelvic rock that will be cued. It'll be invited in about halfway through your breathing. And so that's an inhale, pelvis tilts forward, tailbone out, exhale, neutral pelvis, and you kind of like collapse in. So inhale, belly, do it with me. Exhale, collapse the balloon. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Pelvic tilts now. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The pelvic tilts are cool because it really helps to awaken the kundalini, the fire, the power, your sacral chakra, the base of your spine. There's a lot of energy coiled up there at the base of your spine, and the pelvic tilts really helps to bring the heat and awaken that inner creatrix and power that's inside of you. So I will cue you through that. But I just want to talk about the breath a little bit more. Now that you've seen it, you've got a context to it. It's an inhale through the nose, air is moving past the lungs into the belly. And then on your exhale, it's a kind of like a you're collapsing back. You're feeling held by the earth that's underneath you. So I want to show you what this looks like lying down. You'll start on your back. Yeah, you can see me okay. You'll start, some people like to start with their legs extended. I typically start with my knees bent, my feet planted. And so I'm going to breathe in, exhale out. Inhale, push the belly out. Exhale, inhale. Two-part breath. Let's practice that. You'll want to implement two-part when you want to slow it down a little bit. And maybe you might feel like you're like rocking like way out of your normal window or window of familiarity, or not the window of tolerance, but maybe if you start to tip into like an unknown territory that feels really scary and you're losing control, you can bring in the three-part breath, the two-part inhale, three-part total. You can bring that breath in to slow your pace down a little bit. So that would be it's still powerful, right? It's still powerful. It's just a little bit more slower, a little bit more slower. So you can choose. I tend to do both. And also, I'll notice sometimes in breath work, especially in the beginning, it's like the hardest part where my mind is still really active and I'm really having to drop into my body. I'll do the two-part breath. It's a nice way to start, and it helps. It's just that extra little bit of awareness to the breath that I need to drop fully out of my mind and get into my body. So let's just do a little bit more together. I hope you're lying down with me. You know, hands by your side, relax, inhale, build the belly up, exhale, relax it, breathe in through the nose, relax. Let's play with the pelvic tilt. Inhale, so you'll kind of arch that lower part of your spine. Inhale, front of the pelvis rocks forward, tailbone back, exhale, so it's like a thrust, kind of like an inhale, forward, dip forward, exhale, thrust, relax back, more neutral. Inhale, exhale, breathe in, breathe out. Inhale, exhale. One more. Good. Some of us like to get on our hands and knees during breath work, and I will offer this in session. You don't have to take it. You can stay lying on your back. I want you to stay either lying on your back, or you can pop up to hands and knees, but keeping your head down, the cervical spine neutral, gaze down to the floor. I don't want you on your side here. So lying on the side, I don't recommend that until rest, because you see this really does kind of change what's happening in the body. If you're lying on your back and you feel somatically, the body is telling you it wants to change positions. And usually this happens when you're like crescendoing up. What I will offer is hands and knees. And so you'll get into like a tabletop position, and it's sort of like cat cows. So inhaling, drop the belly, tailbone up, big belly balloon breath, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. But it's just the torso. It's just the belly and your hips, your pelvis. Notice I'm not cat cowing my neck. You can get dizzy that way. So I want you to keep the cervical spine neutral, and I want your gaze to be down to the floor if you get on your hands and knees, okay? I don't want you sitting up like this, because you could just tip right on over and pass out because you might get a little dizzy. So I don't want you getting dizzy. I don't want you passing out on me. I want you to like really stay with your experience, stay in the body. You'll have space to ask questions before we begin tomorrow or today or whenever you're watching this and whenever you're going to do session. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so honored to be your guide. I hope this was helpful. I find that when I first started leading circles, I spent a solid 15 minutes in the beginning, as probably how long this video is, in just like explaining the technique and answering questions. So I really hope that this helps save our time and helps you show up to session like totally prepared and in the know. And you may have one or two questions, and that's fine. Bring them. I'm happy to hold all of that generous space for you. I'm so excited for you to experience this work and this practice. And yeah, I can't wait to see how you how you feel after. Embodiment is all about feeling. This is all about feeling. This is about feeling your body. This is about feeling the energy that's in your body. This is about feeling yourself in this practice. This is about feeling your way into a more embodied, connected lifestyle. And if you want that, if that's what you're hungry for, this practice is the answer. So I can't wait to share with you, and I will see you in session.